Not so long ago, Latin America was packed with right-wing governments, some of them dictatorships, closely aligned with the United States. The U.S. even installed some of them. A period of democratization followed with elections that changed things across the continent. Today, Latin America very definitely leans to the left. But what does it mean to be a leftist in Latin America these days? Has the end of the Cold War changed the very nature of that political ideal? And how does the new left relate to its U.S. neighbors to the north? We'll look at these questions and more next on Great Decisions.
In a democracy, agreement is not essential, but participation is. Join us as we discuss today's most critical global issues. Join us for Great Decisions. Great Decisions is produced by the Foreign Policy Association, inspiring Americans to learn more about the world.
Funding for Great Decisions is provided by the Star Foundation and U.S. Trust.
A generation ago, if a Latin American government was deemed leftist, it generally meant a few predictable things: socialism, populism, and alignment with the Soviet Union. But since the end of the Cold War, the Latin American left isn't so easily categorized. Social and economic reforms across the continent are taking different shapes and impacting how the countries of the region relate to the United States. Take Venezuela and its very outspoken leader, Hugo Chavez. To many, Chavez represents the classic Latin American leftist, unabashedly populist, redistributing much of his nation's wealth directly into the hands of its poorest citizens. He's built up social programs, schools, health care, almost entirely funded by Venezuela's vast oil reserves. His critics charge that his social programs have come at the expense of Venezuela's overall economy, which hasn't appreciably grown since he took power. Critics also worry about his limitations of democratic freedoms and his possible intentions to remain in power indefinitely. But Chavez is unquestionably popular, both in his country and throughout much of Latin America, where his harsh denunciations of the Bush administration and the World Bank are met with cheers. And he's fostered political partnerships with Cuba's Fidel Castro and Bolivia's Evo Morales, among others.
What is strategic for us is to look for a political unity of all our countries and to have a regional project that will unite us and will create the potentialities and develop all the potentialities of South America to be a world player.
But there's another kind of political change taking place in Latin America today, one also rooted in socialism and populism, but more conservative in its approach to governing. Brazil is the strongest economy in Latin America, but not without its problems, poverty and hunger among them. Its leader, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, is firmly rooted in the left. He was born into poverty, eventually became an outspoken union leader and socialist, and is a member of the Workers' Party. Yet his approach to governing stands in stark contrast to that of Venezuela's Hugo Chavez. Lula da Silva has moderated his more radical views and has instead focused on reforming Brazil within the bounds of the free market, implementing tax reform, passing new labor and judicial laws, hoping to encourage growth throughout all sectors.
What we have today in Brazil is, I think, a very positive combination of growth with reduction of inequality.
So then, is it this kind of approach to populism which makes countries like Brazil, also Chile and Uruguay, more politically attractive to the United States? How do the countries of Latin America get along with each other? Will the progressive left become the new Latin American right? And what does the future hold for the likes of Chavez? Is he bound to become the next generation's Castro, intent on holding on to power for the rest of his life? The Latin American left, coming up next on Great Decisions.
And now from our New York studios, here is Ralph Begleiter.
Welcome to Great Decisions. Joining us to help us explore issues related to Latin America and the march of the left in that continent, Jorge Castañeda, former Foreign Minister of Mexico and now Professor of Politics and Latin American Studies at New York University, author of a new book called Ex-Mex, Migrants to Immigrants. And economist Hernando de Soto, president of the Institute of Liberty and Democracy in Lima, Peru. Welcome to both of you.